turn. Oh, see. I know, I know, I know. Time to make a change. Yes, it is that time again. Dr. Cornel West, and I count it all joy that you are with us on this fine day. So much is happening. So, Dr. Federal Trade Commission, one of the commissioners was illegally fired by President Donald J. Trump. Commissioner Alvaro Bedia put out a statement saying that the president does not have a right to fire him and that it was illegal and that it is strictly corruption banting about in that Trump administration. So we're going to talk about this and his whole report. And then the Defense Department page honoring Jackie Robinson's military service was scrubbed. And do you know what they replaced the page with? DEI. The DEI, when somebody goes to read about what Jackie Robinson did in the military, the Trump administration has replaced it with DEI. I mean, they are really taking this way too far. Before we get into this and maybe sprinkling in a little more, we need to know what is on the heart, the mind, and the soul of the doctor who is in the house, the one and only Dr. Cornel West.
Well, as you can see, I'm in Brother Tavis Smiley's
space
right now.
Yes.
LA, it's good to see my beloved wife, Anna Keita, been in New York. We just had DJ Nice doing his deep thing in dialogue. So I'm fired up with this California spirit.
Yeah.
And, in so many ways, though, I'm still wrestling with what we were wrestling with yesterday. You know, what happens when you have constitutional crisis, constitutional calamity in a fascist mode in the United States with vicious attacks and assaults on the weakest, the most vulnerable, on poor and working people, against Black people. The vicious attack on DEI is basically an attack on Black folk. Let's just be very honest about that. When Trump saw the plane crash, and first thing he did was say, "Oh, we got too many Black folk in the tower." You see, that's the mentality of those in running things in Washington. So you see the deeply racist dimension of the fascism escalating, and then its intimate connection, of course, to the constitutional crisis and calamity taking place right now in Israel, as Netanyahu is cutting against the law in Israel internally, let alone re-escalating the vicious genocide against precious Palestinians in Gaza and now taking land. So you get the same 19th century imperialist mentality. In the 19th century, what did they do? Well, they met in Berlin and they carved up Africa. We want this. We want that. How you going to get it? Well, we got military troops. What about the people there? We don't care about the people there. We grabbing it. We're going to make it our own. And they got away with it in 1883.
Yeah, they did.
They recarved Africa, and with the exception of Ethiopia and even Eritrea, got owned by Italy, you see?
Yeah.
So it's that same kind of sense of being the master of the universe, doing whatever they want to do, saying whatever they want to say, and thinking they can get away with it. That's what we're dealing with, and that's what makes it much more of just a crisis. We're dealing with catastrophe, we're dealing with calamity, and the good news is that we Black people and oppressed people around the world, we have been on intimate terms with catastrophe and calamity and crisis for 400 years. So we simply have to ready ourselves, get ready, be ready, and stay ready. The first thing to do what? Keep your soul intact and tell the truth. Don't cave into the lies. Don't cave into what Bonhoeffer calls socialized stupidity, in which you refuse to be critical, refuse to think for yourself, go along with all of the lies, the misinformation and disinformation, and then in telling the truth, you got to follow through with some witness, some practice, some deeds of justice, and being organized with folk who are moving in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. And I love how you talked about the fact that calamity, crisis, and catastrophe, nothing new for Black people. And we culturally and spiritually have been the moral consciousness of this country. And we need to get back to that, pulling in other allies. We got to face the fact that what is being done in our name is, again, as we've said before, it's not only illegal, it's immoral in every
Exactly.
single way. And but by the grace of God, there goes any of us. You know, it could be our family members, people that we love and care about, and we don't have to have a blood tie or a deep relational tie to know when wrong. You know, when something is wrong, when something is morally wrong.
Exactly right. You know, what's also I find disturbing though is that you hear people say uh, too often in the white mainstream that they don't have enough voices of resistance. They don't have enough prophetic voices that are bringing critique to bear. And they don't count Black people at all. So you take KBLA Talk 1580, been on the case 3 years. January 6th, different kind of insurrection, rhetorically, intellectually, analytically, raising our voices, show after show. Brother Tabbas, 3 hours every day, bringing deep critique to bear with prophetic witness, and they act as if Black folk
Don't
are
exist.
non-existent.
Yeah.
Like we don't exist. Like the only resistance is when it comes through the vanilla side of town, or the New York Times, or the Washington Post. No, KBLA 1580 Talk Radio has been leading the charge in a fundamental way. They have to remain attuned to the variety of voices that are out there, not just a little narrow voices tied to the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN and MSNBC and some other little small independent podcasts.
Well, that's how they structurally have it set up, Doc. And that's why it is so important that KBLA 1580 exists to push through all of this foolishness. Ooh, we hot in here today. When we come forward, Dr. Cornel West and I will continue our exploration. You are listening to Truth Time.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families, and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, the suffering that is happening over in Gaza at the hands of the right-wing Israeli government led by Netanyahu, Dr. West, it really is a reflection of the neglect happening over here in this country, the decay, the lack of morality, the total takeover of neo-fascism right here in the United States, which has been bubbling up for quite some time. And as you mentioned in your opening remarks here, none of these things are new. But I do believe that for so many generations, from Gen X all the way to the millennials to the Z's, folks just never lived through this kind of stuff, Dr. West. And that is what is so piercing and shocking. And I think for a more seasoned generation, it's here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to humble myself and learn from the younger generation, because on the one hand, they have experiences I know not of. They live in circumstances and conditions that I know very little about. And so it's true for someone like myself who's been around a long time. We've been fighting vicious forms of tribalism for a long time. That's what white supremacy is. It's a vicious form of tribalism that believes that black lives don't matter. Black people don't count. I even look at that brother Schumer. You know, he's got a book out on anti-Semitism. Now, I just call it anti-Jewish hatred, anti-Jewish sentiment. It's wrong. Any kind of hatred is wrong of anybody. But if he can't show any sympathy whatsoever for somebody outside of his tribe and outside of his group, then all the struggle against anti-Semitism or anti-Jewish hatred is going to be more and more empty, because it's clear you're only concerned about one group of people. Where your struggle is anti-Palestinian racism. They say, well, Brother West, you talking about black people all the time. You love black people all the time. Yes, I do. Ain't no doubt about it. I begin with the chocolate side of town, but the love I have for black people spills over to love for others. There's a difference between loving your own people and the love spilling over to other people, as opposed to loving your own people. And you can't say a mumbling word when 20,000 Palestinian babies are dying, and all you can do is support and green light that kind of attack. So that tribalism, it is so deep. Now, the younger generation of Jewish brothers and sisters are picking it up, and we got to make sure the younger generation of black folk pick it up. Yes, we got to love our people. Yes, we love our mamas and daddies and grandmamas and granddaddies and aunts and uncles and cousins. Indeed. But if that's all we loving, if I'm loving solely black people, next thing you know, I'm only going to be loving certain black people. Next thing you know, I'm going to start hating more black people. Why? Because that's the law and the logic of love, deep love. And if you're only a narrow tribalist, you ain't really got that much love happening. It's all strategic and tactical. And you end up cutting off. If you think of the Jewish folk who are out there in solidarity with Palestinians, people like Schumer don't even consider them really Jewish more and more.
No, it's they call them self-hating Jews.
Self-hating Jews.
Yeah.
So when Gangster Trump calls Schumer a Palestinian, what is he saying? He's saying he's Nigger. That's really what he's saying.
That's exactly what he's saying, Doc. We just go ahead and make it plain on Truth Time. And so again, Palestinian sisters and brothers today, Mr. Khalil today, who will it be tomorrow? And that's what we got to be concerned about. The fact of the tribalism, though, because I think some would say, especially some sentiment in the Black community. I mean, the Black community is certainly, I think, more gracious and more connected to struggle as a group because of our collective memory as a group and understanding what it means to be dehumanized, degraded, stripped of everything. So to me, we just kind of flow over that way to the liberation of all deeper, not exclusively, than other people. As we search, in both our history and in our lifetime, there are some sentiment in the Black community that is only us, and others don't come to our rescue. I'm still hearing this. You and I, we lift this all the time when we talk about the suffering of our Palestinian sisters and brothers, and the fact that a ceasefire did not stay intact because Netanyahu didn't want it to stay intact. And I think people have to go deeper into the history of what is happening over there. The fact that Netanyahu wanted a Hamas to exist. We don't talk enough about that, that he wanted this to happen in terms of Hamas to be in place as a ruling power in there, because he was competing against another type of power that the Palestinians were amassing. And so what is it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, too many of these people who have power play games, and they play serious games that get people hurt, get people killed, get people maligned. And what we see in the Gaza is the total destruction of an area that was already an open air prison as it was, where the Palestinians did not control the flow of water, the flow of food. I mean, that's why it's hitting them so hard, because they did not and do not control their own destinies. But that is a long way for me to get back to a lot of people, but not just Black people, but I'm saying Black folks in particular, because of our lived experience, both collective lived experience, the time of our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, and ourselves, who continue to say none of these groups stand up for Black people in the same way that we stand up for them.
And that might be the case. That might be the case. You don't stand up for other groups just because they're going to stand up for you. It's not a quid pro quo. You see, that Black people at our best, we're not a transitional people. We believe in morality and spirituality. You see, if the only reason somebody's following Jesus because Jesus got to do something for you, the only reason why you loving your mama because your mama got to do something for you, the only reason you have a friend because your friend got to do something for you, then you ain't got no deep love in your soul. Love is not measured just by transaction and calculation. Now, it's wrong that people don't speak out for Black people as much as sometimes Black people speak out for them. That's true. That don't mean you stop doing it. Just because somebody else does it wrong don't mean you just got to do it wrong because they're doing it wrong. No. Where's your spirituality? Where's your morality? Now, I do believe that, that there has been some Palestinian Arabs who've spoken up for Black folk, but it's not enough. It's not enough. So, I mean, I understand what Black folk are saying there, and I can agree with them, but that ain't the question. Are you going to only be moral when somebody's going to help you out? Then you're not a moral person. So that, you just manipulate and transact like everybody else, it seems to me, you see. And if Black folk fall into that mode, into that groove, into that pocket, then we end up only concerned about interest and power and not integrity and morality.
Well, that preaches. We need to continue to have these kinds of conversations. We need to be in community to have these kinds of conversations. I've certainly have had the privilege, over the past years to have the type of conversation that you and I are having and expressing with and sharing with our audience with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, for example, who bold enough and courageous enough to admit that there's tension there. Bold enough and courageous enough to say that there is some anti-Black sentiment among some in the Arab American community. And it was refreshing, because sometimes people want to make it seem like we're just making this up, or not. I'm talking about in general, the transgressions against Black people and how some other groups of color do not recognize the fact that a lot of their liberation is hinged on the fight that Black people had to wage in this country to even get to where we are today. A lack of recognition, a lack of love and respect for our community in ways that should be expressed. So I just can't tell you, Doc, how refreshing it was to be able to have these straight up conversations.
That's right. That's right.
Without
You
missing words.
we have been invited to different Arab and Muslim and Palestinian, and we raise that issue candidly and tell them that they need to do better, and some of them need to be ashamed of themselves because they're too transactional and calculating. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to end up just being transactional and calculating just because they're falling short. That just rationalized. Even my dear sister Rashida, I've supported her twice, even when she ran against black candidates, because she was more progressive than the black candidates there in Detroit and Dearborn, and so I supported her. But when I was running myself, I made a phone call to her. She never returned because she got too close to the Democratic Party, I guess, or whatever it is. I just wanted to say hello. I just wanted to talk to her. I said, "Come on, my dear sister." I went out of my way twice to support you. You can't return a phone call just because we're in different lanes at the moment. Now, I love my sister. She's courageous. I'm going to be in solidarity with her no matter what. That's how I was raised. But at the same time, I still have certain kind of expectations. And so, proceed and we keep going. And we keep the focus not so much on ourselves, but on the suffering. But we do try to be honest with each other. And I think you probably know her much better than I do. And you send her respect, but also a little disappointment too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just to hear this from you, and she is bold and courageous, and I am going to call the Congresswoman about this. I mean, she has taken some extraordinary positions and a lot of pain in taking those positions. Been very strong. And I kind of want to say, maybe she was, I don't know. I'm just thinking, all the pressure that was coming on her when you were in this race, and her standing up for her.
And I can understand that.
That might be part of it.
But don't go. Just say, how you doing? How your mama doing?
I mean, hey, Doc, it's valid. It's valid. And we should definitely be able to have these conversations. And so I think what we're raising up for the Black community is the Black community has every right to feel and to critique, because this is not just a feeling, it's also a critique.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And to take it further, though, as you're saying, love and morality cannot be solely transactional. That's right. It is, fine to call out when something is wrong. And this kind of behavior has been wrong for a long time. And it's not only just Arab American community, it is most communities of color who don't have a firm grasp and understanding of the Black American experience. And assimilation is a real thing. And not wanting to be last is a real thing. So I think other groups, from a very human, because we can go one or two ways. We can be on the resistance and love side, or we can be on the escape and we glad we not them side. And it is a very human reaction to say, oh no, they last on the totem pole, or let me not use totem pole. They are last, and we don't want no parts of that type of suffering. I want to add this to it. When I think about some Black people during the periods of ebbs and flow in this country, in terms of, can I pass or not pass? Am I Black from a distance? And we know that there are historic records. There are stories that have been told and still told in the Black community to this day, that some of our lighter skinned sisters and brothers who could pass, not all of them, they did. And as I analyzed that, it wasn't so much, I mean, when you got self-hatred being probed into your mind, your soul, your body, your spirit since day zero, and as a human being, you want to escape pain. Some of that on a psychological level was not necessarily a hatred for being Black as much as it was and is wanting to escape the pain that comes along with being Black.
Oh, that's real. That's real. There's a lot of different ways to escape pain, a lot of different ways to try to keep distance from pain. But again, you got to be true to yourself, have some sense of integrity and principle in that regard.
Yeah.
And you think, for example, I mean, there's always going to be some poor white brothers and sisters that don't like me, can't stand my guts. Does that mean that I want poverty be eliminated for everybody. I don't want to just
Amen.
stop at the white community just because some of them don't like me. It's a matter of principle. Poverty needs to be abolished across the board, even when it's the people who themselves may not even like me. Because it ain't a question of just me being at the center. It's a question of integrity and principles, bigger than me, bigger than the white folk, but it focuses on the poverty, and we need to eliminate the poverty and the suffering. Hey,
Yeah.
that's how we got to roll, it seems to me.
It really is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you,
Boy,
which
that
is a
golden rule is
stream
revolutionary.
that it is
Under
revolutionary.
fascism is he who has the gold rules.
Yes, that's it. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation. You are listening to Truth Time.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not driving you, baby.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Texas Attorney General is suing Capel ISD, accusing them of allowing critical race theory in classrooms. Attorney General Kim Paxton called it divisive and racist. Virginia Union University is launching a second doula training program to tackle health disparities. After last year's success, VUU secured funding for another class starting next week. Dean Felicia Cosby hopes more doulas will help reduce Black maternal mortality rates. The GOP-led House Judiciary Committee passed a bill criminalizing the use of taxpayer funds for DEI programs. House Bill 171 would make government officials liable for using DEI in hiring. The NAACP vows to fight it in court. And Tuskegee Airman Shelton Ivan Ware, a 101-year-old World War II veteran, will be laid to rest at Arlington today. He served 32 years in the military, including with the Red Ball Express, a black troop unit that supplied Allied forces. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Running out of hot water? Water Heaters Only makes replacing your water heater easy. With one call and great pricing, Water Heaters Only can have you back in hot water the same day, within hours of your call. Visit waterheatersonly.com. That's waterheatersonly.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Trump administration's assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives has made its way to a sports icon, and a lot of folks should be ticked off about it. I know I am. The Defense Department, under orders from the president, has removed a story on its website about the military service of Jackie Robinson. Before Robinson became Major League Baseball's first black player in 1947, he was a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army during World War II. Robinson served our country until he earned an honorable discharge in 1944. 3 years later, he became a fixture in American history when he signed a contract with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Every black person in America and every black politician needs to let the Defense Department know that it is unacceptable to try to erase the legacy of Jackie Robinson, an American hero. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Stories are power. The Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project is an effort to collect, preserve, and amplify stories of Black land loss. It will form an invaluable resource for scholars, authors, historians, educators, storytellers, policymakers, and change agents who wrestle with issues of restitution, reparations, racial inequality in home ownership, and the racial wealth gap. Through documenting stories of Black land loss, the archive will help demonstrate the magnitude of what Black families have lost and will continue the national dialogue to encourage paths to restitution, rebuilding, and healing. Support the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project by visiting www.blacklandloss.org or by donating at www.blacklandloss.org/donate. Spread the word to inspire awareness, activism, leadership, and change. And join us in making a lasting impact. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
Oh, my apologies, family. I muted myself. We just heard our sports reporter give us the quick update about what is happening with the records of Jackie Robinson and how his service to the military was highlighted on a page within the Department of Defense, among other people who had served in the military as well. And I'm telling you, it just cements a pattern of this administration. They want to talk about they being the Trump administration and the GOP's new tagline about reverse discrimination and racism and all of that, which we could teach a whole class on what systemic racism really, really is. People got this wrong and they have it twisted. But people are concerned and up in arms that even Jackie Robinson is not even safe. So the reporting in Mediaite is that when you go to the page, and I actually did go to the page where Jackie Robinson's military career was highlighted, you get the words that pop up, DEI. And I'm just trying to understand, before we even dig into the horror of all of this, because the reason why it's horrible, because they are directly targeting the integrity, the contributions of Black Americans to the United States of America, and then by extension, everybody else that is not of the group that they want you to be a part of will be touched. But you got to be some kind of miserable of all the things that are happening in this country and in this world. And you are dispatching federal workers to dig through websites, to erase, to electronically or digitally erase the contributions of Black people. You got to be some kind of war.
That's real. That's real. I think the truth is that even before Gangster Trump, America has been so wedded to the efficacy of lies when it comes to Black people, given the last 249 years. Now, we made some breakthroughs in the last 60 years, but think of all the lies that have been told on enslaved Africans and all the lies that have been told on Jim and Jane Crow black folk up until 1965. And we made some breakthroughs and we got some truths out there. But when they start rejecting all, this is true also for Medgar Evers. You saw they erased his military. And then here's somebody who goes to war, willing to kill and fight for the nation, and come back fighting apartheid in Mississippi, fighting Jim and Jane Crow, and gets shot right in front of his house, in front of his precious wife and children.
Yeah.
You know, and they want to erase his military history. You say, oh my God, the level of hatred and disrespect and disregard, the levels of degradation that we're supposed to put up with is just it's beyond language. It really is. But we just have to be, you know, willing to keep fighting and recognize what and who we fighting against.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, just trying to wear us down, but we're not going to let that happen because we carry the spirit of
That's
those
right.
who have gone before us. We can't give up. But I'm just thinking, so I want to chronicle this for our audience. 2020, it was BLM, Black Lives Matter. In 2022, critical race theory. In 2024, woke. And now in 2025, DEI. All of those terms are substitute for black, which then in turn is substitute for the other word that they really want to say. We need to see the pattern. And we can go even before 2020. There were always times when this country did this to Black people, but our awareness, I'm trying to get folks to see a pattern. And like you said, none of this is new. It's not new. So whether we're talking about it in the 21st century, the 20th century, the 19th century, the 18th century, where do you want us to stop? Where do you want us to start? There have always been moments like this. The difference between us and previous generations is that we have a type of access to technology where we can get information in real time, quicker time. More people can be aware quicker about what is happening. So in this Mediate article, a page honoring Jackie Robinson's military service was removed from the Department of Defense's website after DEI was added to the web address. Under the directive of President Donald Trump, all branches of federal government have been working to remove anything involving diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. For the Department of Defense, that seem to also include parts of the U.S. military's history. That's when it really becomes dangerous. They want to erase, rewrite history.
Well, they've been rewriting it for a while, but it's just much more vicious now. The scope is broader, but they've always been doing that. That's the thing we have to recognize. That's why, in terms of trying to keep track of the truths of history rather than the lies of history, that we have to in many ways do that on our own. We can't even rely on the schools. We can't do it ourselves in our own communities and churches and radio stations and in our music and in our art. We have to continually tell the story of Black humanity, Black creativity, Black talent, Black genius, Black forbearance, and Black persistence, and so forth. You can't rely on the mainstream to do that. And that one of the illusions I think that we're coming to terms with. You see, a lot of people think, well, you know, before all we had to do was fall back on the schools. No, schools ain't never told the full truth about Black humanity.
Ain't that the truth? I didn't hear about it until college. Actually, I didn't get the full story.
Exactly.
You know? And what about people who? Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
No, that's exactly right. We had to take it in our own hand. And of course, we self-critical because nobody has access to the full truth, capital T. We all crack vessels, but we know lies when we see them, and especially when the lies are dressed as the truth. This kind of whitewashing that is so pervasive since Gangster Trump took over is something that we got to just keep track of, and we combat it with both truth, but also with our organizations, also with our struggles and resistance.
And that is the part, you know, there was a time throughout the history of Black people trying to reclaim their time, reclaim their humanity, to force white America to see that humanity, the power structure to see that humanity, where we did self-educate. I mean, there was a time in this country history where it was illegal for Black people to learn how to read and write. I want folks to wrap their mind around it, because as that pseudoscience kept saying that we're subhuman, if you think that out logically, well, if they're subhuman, then they don't have the capacity to learn how to read and write. They knew that was a lie from the pit of hell when they told it, but think about that. And so Black people had to take it in their own hands. The freedom schools, the lessons in Bible, Bible study. I mean, the Black church was used for the edification and the lifting of Black people. And when we look at Dr. Carter G. Woodson, one of the reasons why he created first Negro History Week, which then turns into Black History Month and has morphed into 365 and all of that good stuff, it was for educational purposes, because he knew and understood that it was important for Black America, and then by extension, all of America, to understand the contributions and, as you always lay out, the humanity of Black people. But we forget that part about Black History Month. It was for the purposes of education. And what he was saying, that if they're not going to do it,
that's right,
we are going to do it.
Well, they knew the connection between literacy and freedom. You see, it was David Walker's appeal to colored citizens of the world.
Yes.
Of course, they had him killed 6 months after it was published. But when it was published, they didn't want slaves reading it. You say, oh, David Walker writes so beautifully, so eloquently, so powerfully, so compellingly, so persuasively.
They might rise up.
That's
hold that thought, Doc.
They hear the truth.
We're going to rise up on the other end of this. You're listening to Truth Time.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes. So it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like to inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Truth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Doc, I want you to be able to take us on, finish that your thought before we came forward again.
What was I talking about? You remember?
Well, David Walker's appeal. We were talking.
Oh, Lord. Yes, the powerful writing of David Walker and the ways in which they tried to get that throughout the South. And they said, no, this is not only illegal. They put a bounty on his head of $10,000. He was dead, found in a hotel 6 months later. And he said, oh, I see. That's why you don't want these enslaved Africans to learn how to read and write, because if they start reading David Walker, lo and behold, they're going to see some clarity about their situation. They want to organize and mobilize. And you're going to see some more Denmark Veeses. You're going to see some more Gabriel Broses. You're going to see some more Nat Turners. Oh, we see. So there's a connection between learning how to read and loving your neighbor and fighting for freedom. They all go hand in hand. And what they could not do is to stop us from singing. What they could not do is stop us from stealing away in the night in a ring shout at the creek and lifting our voices, not just our echoes. Now, our echoes are just nothing but expressions of what is the case. Voice is a critique of what is the case, a strong critique of what is the case. Sing the song, Elmo and Roosevelt, swing low, sweet chariot. Oh, you don't know, you could be non-literate and still be a genius. We know that from the creator of the spirituals, those great Black people who created those songs. So even if it was against the law to gain access to literacy, we still had our own form of literacy. It was called with the music. It was sonic. It was sound. It was vibrations. It ways in which we constitute community. And when you constitute community, you got solidarity. When you got solidarity, you got a hope that nobody can crush and a spirit that nobody can eliminate.
That part, we need to pick up on that vibration, Doc. That is the vibration that we need right here in 2025 to fight neo-fascism and also neoliberalism. It was cold. I mean, Black folks had a code that they could hold on to that the enslaver and those in those white communities, they didn't know. They thought they were just singing, but it was messages in those songs, even from the ornate patterns in the braids that Black women wore in their hair. Yes, there was a message.
That's right. That's right. And communicating. Can't stop from communicating.
Come on. Because life is going to find a way. Love is going to find a way. Liberation is going to find a way, make a way, as the elders say, out of no way. And that is why the liberation struggle of Black people is so informative to the liberation of all people.
Of all people. Well, there was a genius coming out of Tuskegee, Alabama, named Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
He didn't just write Endless Love with Diana Ross. That was the #1 song for both of them, but he wrote a song called Love Will Find a Way. Thank you, Lionel. We understand that. That's what Harriet Tubman knew. Love is going to find a way.
That's it. Or what about that church song, Doc, in some of the Baptist churches? When nothing else can help, love.
When nothing else could help, love lifted me. Oh, Lord have mercy.
That part. That's it. You know, and we just spreading this thing out. That is it. So whether it is loving thy neighbor as thyself.
That's right.
But the key is you got to love yourself. And I think a whole bunch of folks, we need to get real. Do we really love ourselves? Because if we do, and your sister and your brother is a reflection of that, then we couldn't be okay with what's going on in Gaza. We can't be okay with babies going to bed hungry. We can't be okay with homelessness in the United States. See, all of those things are weaved into one type of energy.
That's exactly right.
We feeling this thing. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation and exploration about love. You are listening to Truth Time.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
A new day is on the horizon. Behind every great moment in history, there's a woman whose story went untold. This March on KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing those hidden narratives to light. Hear extraordinary stories of women who transformed science, politics, arts, and community. Women you've never heard of, but should know. Celebrating Women's History Month on KBLA Talk 1580, where every story matters.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
Well, Doc, some of the members of our extended family over on our YouTube channel, they got it stirred up in there. I want them to know we did not forget about them. Of course, we have Blessed Peacemaker. We have to see any oppression as a weapon that could be pointed at any of us at any time. Love your neighbor means your kids matter as much as mine. Take this love global and we will free the planet. That's a word. That is the word. That is exactly what we are saying. Loving that so very much. Lemon Exhaustion says Truth Time really is raising my blood pressure.
I like that.
Lemon Exhaustion. I don't know how they meant that, but I'm gonna take that. I hope it's to the positive. Oh my God. Marcus Lucas, what do the Black Caucus have to say about Jackie Robinson? Our wait for Master to tell them. So basically, Marcus is pointedly saying, what is the Congressional Black Caucus saying about this? Have they said anything, or are they waiting for approval to say anything? We got Mr. Morris Phillips, one of our regulars in here too. I remember when Congressman John Lewis died and the socially indifferent Republicans wouldn't acknowledge his contributions. As you say, that we got flaws everywhere. You know, people just, it's just something wrong with some folks. I mean, we just have got to go ahead and admit that people are just sometimes just not good. Artist Moore Jr., good noon, love to everyone. So, you know, they all in here, Doc. We certainly don't have time in our remaining 3 minutes to read them all. But a lot of our folks are not just having conversations with us in that chat. They are actually having conversations amongst one another. And that is really what we want. That is how true change comes about. First, we have to have a dialogue and then some action.
Absolutely. And just don't get discouraged. That's the thing. You see, what the gangsters in the White House trying to do is to break our spirits. Yeah. They're coming at us every which way, attacking us in every which way. They're not going to break our spirits. No, we come out stronger. We come out more fortified than ever.
Yeah, we do. And more committed. You know, something else that Morris said is called agape.
Lord, he went theological.
Yeah, he went theological, Doc. That's your lane. He went
deep
there.
Theological kind of love. Good God Almighty on the cross, providing possibilities we couldn't conceive of in the face of the Roman Empire, in the face of the American Empire, in the face of genocide in Gaza, in the face of unbelievable massacres in the Sudan. We keep fighting. We keep telling the truth. That's truth time.
That is truth time. And our Nina note for today comes from Reverend Otis Moss Jr., who often says, the struggle is forever, so we are forever in the struggle. But we can do that with love and we can do that with joy. But most of all, we have to do that with each other. Don't forget to live purposefully, on purpose. Titles are good, but purpose is better. Until next time, truth time all the time.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The Texas Attorney General is suing Capel ISD, accusing them of allowing critical race theory in classrooms. Attorney General Kim Paxton called it divisive and racist. Virginia Union University is launching a second doula training program to tackle health disparities. After last year's success, VUU secured funding for another class starting next week. Dean Felicia Cosby hopes more doulas will help reduce Black maternal mortality rates. The GOP-led House Judiciary Committee passed a bill criminalizing the use of taxpayer funds for DEI programs. House Bill 171 would make government officials liable for using DEI in hiring. The NAACP vows to fight it in court. And Tuskegee Airman Shelton Ivan Ware, a 101-year-old World War II veteran, will be laid to rest at Arlington today. He served 32 years in the military, including with the Red Ball Express, a Black troop unit that supplied Allied forces. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on